Is this working? I don't know what's happening. Am I live? Let me check. Let me see if I can find myself on YouTube because I literally do not know if this is working or not. Okay, what am I streaming? Okay, so this is working. Welcome to my first ever live stream. This is Nico. I'm speed chart. No, I'm not. I'm just me. Where's my background? Yeah, so a lot of people in my Discord community, they recommended me that I should start live streaming. And I wasn't really confident because I do not have a very big audience as of yet. I only have 410 subscribers. But still, I thought that, yeah, it's a good thing. Maybe I should give it a try. What's the harm in trying? What's the worst that's going to happen? The worst that's going to happen is I'll be stuck and I'll be the only one in the stream. And how bad is that? It's not that bad. I've seen worse things. I've had worst moments. So it doesn't hurt to be live. Let me just move this around. So I'm going to be sculpting this Hulk face. And I estimate that it's probably going to take me an hour to do so. And this is my first ever live stream. So I literally do not know if I'm going to mess this up, if I'm going to be too focused on speaking, if I'm going to be too into the sculpt and not speak at all, if it's going to be awkward. Yeah, I'm new here as well. So let's find out. Let's see how this goes. And I don't think I'd be able to talk much about the process because even if I try to right now, this is the first time I'm sculpting. I think I'm gonna miss a lot of things. So basically, I'll just rant about things, I'll just talk about things and sculpt in the process. Because if I try to explain everything, I think this is gonna be a very long stream. And I want to get this done in an hour, in an hour and a half, and then I have to go to get my dinner. Yeah, I do intermittent fasting. It's a 20 hours fast. So the last meal that I eat, I can eat it around what time? I can eat it around 10 p.m. and I break my fast around 5 p.m. It's a 20-hour fast. And to be honest, I used to think that intermittent fasting is going to be difficult, but it's actually very easy. It just keeps me focused. I don't have to think about the food I'm going to eat. I don't have to think about the snacks I'm going to eat. It's just much more simpler for me because I know that I can only eat at 5 p.m. So it's something that I will have to worry about later. I don't like making a lot of decisions. Yeah, deciding what to eat is one of the hardest decisions that I have to make throughout a day. So I don't really do it. This is the reference that I found, and I couldn't find a consistent reference that had the front and the side. So I have a front and a third quarter view, which is somewhat similar. So that is what I'm going to be using. So let's just block out the main shapes, the main things. Let's get the features in. And once we've done that, then we can worry about the proportions. Then we can worry about if the nose is too big, if the ears are too small, or all of these things. All of these things can be adjusted. During the initial sculpting, what I try to do is I just try to block in the shapes. I just try to get the features in, and then they can always be adjusted anytime. Okay, so Hulk has a pretty thick neck. And he has massive traps. So let's just add those. I'm not going to be doing the whole body. And doing this live stream, I can actually realize how efficient speed chart is. Like he's talking and he's sculpting these insane things at the same time. Yeah, hats off to him. Props to him. And it takes me around an hour to make a sculpt, like just the head. But that dude, you gave him 30 minutes extra and he's gonna sculpt a whole body for you. Yeah, that dude is insanely fast. I'm gonna be that fast soon. I'm gonna beat Speedchar. I'm gonna be faster than him. Soon you guys might see. When I get big, I'm gonna challenge him to a sculpting battle. And we'll see who sculpts the character faster. So I've learned a lot from him as well, by the way. I bought his course, I bought his superhuman anatomy course, and his way of sculpting is what has resonated the most with me. He's been a big influence in my sculpting journey. Yeah, we can worry about this later. Let's just add in the features. And I really like the guy. He's very funny. Also, he inspired me a lot because I know that he doesn't speak very well English. Neither do I. English isn't my mother language. This isn't something that I'm super comfortable sculpting with. Oh, hey guys. Yeah, I sorry. My chat was in a different monitor, so I couldn't read your messages. Let me see. Let me see. Let me expand this chat. Yes, thank you for joining my first live as well. I thought I'm gonna stream this whole thing alone. No one is gonna join. But yeah, it's happy to see some people over here. Hello, Toby. And let me pronounce your name because I made an effort to remember it. And just tell me if I'm pronouncing it correct. Your name is Olua Tubilova. Did I pronounce it correct? Because I have made a big effort to remember this and pronounce it correctly. Let's just get in the ears. That's gonna be a delay. Yeah, the chat is not really reliable. What I say is gonna come to you a lot later. So I didn't nail it. Yeah, Anurag, I've heard your name a lot. It's a very common Indian name, isn't it? I used to watch a lot of Indian dramas when I was a little boy. My mother used to watch Indian channels, and Anurag is a pretty famous name in India, isn't it? Oh man, I thought I nailed your name this time. So let's add in the temple lines. Yeah, I think I'll have to adjust the proportions later. But the important thing right now is to just get in the features, just to have a generic face. Then we can morph it into anything at all. Okay, so his eyebrows are pretty slanted. Let's take that into account. स्ट्रीम कर रहा हूँ मैं क्या हाल है? भाईजान वो नान पड़े हैं कीमे वाले नीचे. And yeah, I'll be honest, this is not easy to do. Like sculpting and trying to talk, yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. Hats off to Speechar for doing this so effortlessly. Yeah, that dude is funny. And I don't know if he's funny because he's just talking about random stuff while he's streaming, or is he just funny in general? I think he's funny in general. Yeah, his eye sockets are pretty shallow. So initially, when you try sculpting, try to find references that have the front and the side view. It basically makes the things a lot easier. Otherwise, you have to imagine things. You have to envision them how they would look in third quarter view and all those stuff. So try finding references that has the front and the side view. This is a pretty common beginner mistake. I was making this too. I was trying to sculpt with images that have single image references, basically just one angle. And you can nail the angle that you're seeing. You can get the front face correct. But when you turn your model around, it's going to be a nightmare. It's not going to look anything like the concept. So you don't want to do that. You want your sculpt to look good from all angles because this is 3D. Now, 2D people, they can get away with it, but not us. It's mostly the annotation and stress patterns are important in language. A single word can have three meanings. Oh, really? We'll get there with practice. For now, you can keep quiet. It's the same thing with Chinese. So when I was in Malaysia and I had Chinese friends, basically the meaning of the word would just shift based on how you stress it. So if it's dua or dua, it just changes the meaning. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. My language is much simpler. Like even if you say it half correct, people can guess what you're trying to say. Where do you see how many people are watching this? Yeah, I'll have to get used to this. But I really think sculpting live and doing a live stream is a good idea. This is something uncomfortable for me, and the more I do it, the more comfortable I will get. So yeah, I think I'm gonna voluntarily put myself in this situation more. And that is how you grow. That is how you grow as a person. That is how you grow in your skill. If you feel uncomfortable learning anatomy, if you feel uncomfortable learning the ears, you don't want to do it, it's really boring. But you put yourself in that situation, that is what is gonna grow you. That is what is gonna make you progress in things. Okay, so let's add in some features. Let's add more geometry to this. In my language, the word for brain and frog are basically the same. So people usually get confused if you're talking about the brain or a frog, is it? Really? Because personally, when I like to sculpt, I just like to turn off all distractions and just focus on the sculpt. I used to multitask a lot, but no more. I just get it done within an hour. I find it much easier and much more efficient to just focus on a task and get it done and get it over with. But yeah, I think I do agree. Some people they like watching shows as they sculpt as they're doing something creative. I used to do it as well. There is a fun to it, but it's not the most efficient way. I just found that it's much easier if I focus on the task at hand. But if you like my company, yeah, I can stream more. I would love to give you company and have your company over here. Oh, that is interesting. Because the thing is, you also recommended this to me, and also another person in the server. And I thought to myself that yeah, I'm gonna sculpt anyway, so let's just live stream. What's gonna go? What's the worst that can happen? Yes, I totally agree, Anurag. Actually, what happens is that we speak our mother language every day. So in my case, it's Urdu. I think in your case, it's Hindi. And when we speak it every day, we don't have to think about the words. We don't have to structure the sentences. We don't have to basically put an effort towards what we're going to say. But when it's a different language, it's an active process. It's an active process to think of the words you're going to say, to think of the sentences. You have to structure everything in a very nice way. The best thing I like is just to take a pause. Yeah, that's the best advice I ever got. Just take a pause. If you're not sure of what you're going to say, just take a pause. Just breathe. Think of your word. Think of what you want to say. Structure it in your head. And yeah, you'll be good to go. Personally, I most times can't sculpt for long in a vacuum. I like having a video podcast playing or even watching The Office or watching our streams of Nico Yan sculptor Ozo. Also, Ozo is a sculptor as well. Yeah, I'll check out his channel. How long does it take you to make a sculpt? How long do you spend on an artwork? Let's just fix the nose a bit. Okay, his nose is pretty straight. I'm just looking very carefully at the reference. And yeah, this is a pretty common mistake as well. What I used to do is I used to sculpt and then look at my reference, whereas you should look at your reference and then sculpt. Why do you want to imagine things when you have the answer? Okay, so let's check his proportions. His head is eyes are almost halfway. His bottom of the nose doesn't match the generic proportions. So let's move it up a bit. He has a small nose. Wider. Good. Hey, Naza, it's okay. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate you being here. You are actually the second person who recommended me doing this. Glad to see you here. Which one, the YouTube course or the head sculpting course? Yeah, it used to take me 2 3 hours to sculpt as well. But since I started doing speed sculpts, they have really helped me to reduce the time it takes me to make a sculpt. That is because speed sculpts, they help you make quick decisions. They help you, yeah, they help you make better choices because there's a pressure of time running out and you can't focus on unnecessary things. You can't really focus on getting too much into detail earlier in your sculpt. The worst trap during sculpting is to just dive into details without blocking out the main things. And that is when adjusting things become hard, moving things around becomes hard. So yeah, just focus on primary shapes, take it step by step, only increase resolution when you have to. These are some tips that can help you really improve your timing. They can help you reduce your timing drastically. Yeah, I'm really glad they're helping you. Thank you for telling me that. I just felt that there is so much information out there, especially in the sculpting world. There's just a ton of information and it's very overwhelming. So I just made this course as some because this is what I wanted when I was wanting to learn how to sculpt. So my focus of making the course was to make something that I wanted when I was struggling so that it can help others. Also, if I ever forget how to sculpt, if anything hits my head and I forget everything, yeah, my course is the first thing I'm going to watch. That is that is what I was thinking about when I was making it. So this is a fat pad. Let's add some fat over here. Oh, he has really big lips, really wide lips. Let's focus on that. Let's make some lips. Yeah, so the Hulk has never been one of. I never really found the Hulk interesting throughout the Marvel series. Even when I was watching Avengers, he just never stood out to me. But he's a really interesting subject to sculpt. That I would, that I cannot deny. My favorite Marvel hero was Spider Man or Iron Man. Yeah, these two were my favorite. I've always been a Spider Man fanboy since I was a little boy. I had a Spider Man costume with the mask and everything. I had so many Spider Man action figures. That was all I used to draw on my school art pad as well. And the sculpt isn't really looking good right now, but I just trust the process and it just suddenly comes together. Like if you spend time sculpting and you don't give up, it just suddenly comes together. And I can never pinpoint when did that happen. Let's try to make his mouth now. It's almost halfway. Yeah. Yeah, sure thing. Take care. Goodbye, Anurag. Thank you for being here. Have a great day. Yeah, this is really hard, to be honest, to keep up with all the messages. I think I should sculpt for a while and then check the messages. Yeah, I think that is going to be a better approach. Let's try doing that. So I'm going to sculpt for a while. If you have any questions, just leave them and I'll look at them after a while. Let's work on the chin. Yeah, I should have listened to your advice earlier. I just felt I don't want this to be boring. But yeah, it's it's not, there's no point if this is not boring and it's not good. I want this to be good and entertaining as well. But yeah, I'll just do that for now. Now, props to Speedcha, man. This is an incredible feat. I'm realizing this now as I'm sculpting this. It is very impressive to sculpt and talk at the same time. How long have I been in? Oh, it's already been 27 minutes, almost half an hour. Yeah, I'm just trying to get in the features right now. Then I'll do a comparison. I'll see what's wrong and what's not. I think they have just too much experience that sculpting is like a second nature for them. Or maybe because they've been streaming for a while. I wonder how their first stream was. Yeah, this is, everything is a skill. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And I think if I stream a lot, if I do this more, I'd be more comfortable doing this. Really. I think I would have done much quicker and much better if I wasn't streaming. Okay, let's up the resolution now. Maybe not yet. And still squeeze some juice out. Yeah, definitely. I think he sculpts in his sleep as well. He probably dreams about it. Yeah, that is what I wished when I was recording my first ever video on the YouTube channel. The one that I named This Is Hard. Basically, I was just ranting about I wished how every artist documented their journey. How I wished I could see how Nico got comfortable speaking English, how Yan developed his style of sculpting. But yeah, we'll never get to see that side of them. Okay, his lips are much bigger over here. But this doing a stream was a lot easier in my head. I'm gonna try and make this work. If it doesn't work out, I'm just gonna take an L and consider this one of the, yeah, just not my day. Yeah, I do agree. I do agree with you. This is something that I want to get good at. I'll just keep doing it till I get good at sculpting and streaming at the same time. Let's turn on some shadows to see, to judge this more better. Hmm. Okay. I think we'll have to move things around to make him look like the concept more. So let's just do that. Let's bring his cheeks up. Let's move his jaw up. So these are the problems you run into when you don't have the side view reference. You have to imagine it and try to make it look good. And it doesn't always work out. Yeah, Nico also mentions that he does practice sculpts before streaming. So he practices the concept once and then he streams. I think once you practice the concept, it just makes it easier to sculpt the second time, and it makes it much less intentional, much less how to say, much less active, because you've already been through the process once. You just have to repeat it, and it makes talking easier. That's what I think. Yeah. So the every concept that he sculpts, it's not entirely new to him. He's done it once before. He just has to repeat it again, and this time he can do it while he talks. But I think that the experience that he has, he can do it without the practice as well. Let's give him some massive chewing muscles. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, to be honest, I don't really like the way this is turning out to be. Whatever the reason may be. But we still have some more time. I'm gonna try to get him as close as I can to the reference. And if it doesn't turn out the way that I want to, I'll just take the L and try again tomorrow with a new concept. Try streaming again tomorrow. Yeah, you're right. I should do that. His eyebrows are covering his eyes. Let's mask more of this area so that we don't spoil the sculpt that we've done over here. Let's adjust his lips a bit. I think we're closer to what we had before. To be honest, I think I'm a bit nervous as well. Let me just get some water. Let's look at the chat. Hello, Hamd. How are you? Is that how I pronounce your name? Okay, let's carry on with the sculpt now. I'm just going to take a deep breath. Okay, let's do this. I think it looks a lot better now. His upper lip is very thin and his lower lip is pretty broad and sharp. Let's try to add that detail as well. Okay, let's see what I can fix from the front view. Yeah. See, it just comes together suddenly. It just happens. When you're sculpting, it just eventually comes together. Now, this is looking much more like it. Hello, welcome, George. How are you? I don't really know how I can see how many people are watching right now. I think it's a good thing. This is my first stream. I don't want to be nervous. I'm only going to talk to the people who are on the chat. See what else? What else? Yes, the eyes are a different object. I basically create a UV sphere and then wrap the eyelids around it. I just find it much easier to do it that way. Yeah, it looks good too, doesn't it? I just bought this mic because of the RGB that it has. Anything that has RGB, just give it to me. I love RGB. Let's add in a different object for the hair. And let's just turn on symmetry. Let's pull it out and give the bald dude, the bald Hulk, some hair. Let's see his hairline. So I'm just basically gonna roughly match his hairline, keeping everything very close to his scalp. He doesn't has very long hair. Let's see. And to be honest, hair is one of the things I struggle with. I find it very difficult to sculpt a good looking hair. The other methods are using hair particles and using a curve and a mesh. But those here, they just take a lot of time to get a good result with. I used to make sculpts with curves and meshes, but yeah, it took hours just working on the hair. Sculpting them it's just a much easier process. Just having a rough block out and rough forms for the hair, making big chunks, giving the illusion of flow, yeah, it just really helps. Yes, I do. I do have a glowing RGB keyboard. Let me show you. Here. And I also have a glowing RGB mouse. Yeah, there you go. So basically, everything is RGB. But I don't usually turn it on when I'm working. I turn it on when I'm working at night because everything I have is wireless and it just takes a lot of battery to keep the RGB on all the time. Yeah, even my headphones are RGB. Wait, they're on charging. Everything I have is RGB. I just love RGB. And there was a time where I used to think that, yeah, RGB, it just sucks. They don't look good. But once I saw a friend's setup, it looks so cool. And I've been an RGB fan ever since. But I like RGB where you can control everything individually. So you can decide which color you want, not just a wave pattern or something. So we have something good over here. Let's turn off symmetry. And now we can work on the hair a bit. What am I doing? I'm doing a cover of Never Enough. And the next song I'm going to sing is Titanic. I'm sculpting, bro. I'm sculpting. Let's just add some random forms like this. And then we will use the draw shape brush to add in more detail. Right now it's just a rough block out. And earlier, the concepts that I used to make, they were all bald concepts. None of them had hair. I was making Morpheus. I was making One Punch Man, those stuff. Yeah. Let's just increase the resolution. You're not really going to see the back, so I'm not going to focus on it. Yeah. I also like using this snake hook tool. Basically, you can rotate as you extrude some parts of the hair. It gives a good effect. Right, let's add in some colors now. I really enjoy using the poly paint tool. Earlier I used to UV everything, or I used to color things. But yeah, this is a lifesaver. I'm just gonna cut this part because I don't want to spend time on this. Where is it? Where did the option go? Yes, slice and fill holes. Let's paint his eyes. Okay, so I think this head is tilted down a bit, like this. And that is why it seems like my concept is looking up. Should we tilt him? I think yes. Let's tilt him a bit. I think we can work on some of the finer details now. And also when you add details, just use the inflate brush and then inflate between them. It gives them a lot of volume and also it tightens these creases. So it looks much nicer. You can see a lot of his skin is overlapping. So we can just use the inflate brush over here to have a similar effect. Inflate brush is a really good brush tool to tighten some creases. Let's turn on the shadows. And yeah, this is looking nice. So it doesn't look exactly like the reference, but we are in the ballpark of this looking like Hulk. And I think this is good for an hour. So I'm just gonna see if there's a few more questions, answer those, and then I'm gonna go for dinner. By the way, if you want to join my Discord community, you can look at the link in the description. You can join my community, be a part of it. We do weekly live calls, where weekly calls basically, where we discuss productivity things and good practices, good habits, just a productive environment for artists basically. You can make good friends over there. Yeah, me too. Thank you for sticking around, man. And thank you for the support. I was actually pretty nervous doing this live stream, but it's been a pleasure having you over here. And this turned out actually better than I expected. So, are there any questions, anything before I leave? I really love this shadow feature inside Blender. Basically, when you look at a reference and when you look at the viewport, the the result is very different. In the reference, you can see we have a lot of shadows, a lot of colors, a lot of highlights, and this really affects the perception of the reference. So if you want to something accurate, if you want to judge it correctly, then you should try to turn on shadows and have a similar lighting so you can get a better understanding of how deep things should be. Because shadow really adds depth. You can understand what is more towards me and what is tucked inside, what is deep and what is shallow. So I love this shadow feature. Also, it saves me a lot of time. I don't have to make some lights, test things around, texture the character, and render stuff. Basically, we get a good result on the viewport. So I think that's it. We do not have any more questions. Thank you everyone for joining, for being a part of the stream. I really appreciated you being here. And yeah, I think I'll do more of these. I'll do streaming more often now. I had fun. It has been uncomfortable, but in a good way. I want to keep doing this till I get good at it so that I can sculpt and talk at the same time. All right. Goodbye. Take care. And I'll see you next time.